Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Seeb. I'm Executive Director of the DMC Economic Development Agency. On behalf of the DMC Board and the staff, thank you for joining us. There are a lot of very important people here. All of you, in fact, are very important. You're going to be hearing from a few. DMC Board Chair R.T. Rybak. I see DMCC Board Member Jim Campbell. I know that there are some elected officials here, including Council President Carlson, who will be speaking. Council members Dennis and Keene and Kirkpatrick I've talked to. There may be others that I've missed. And there are members of the DMC EDA board who you'll hear from Dr. Otley and I've seen Jeff Bolton and Tracy Downs and Jocelyn Ramundo that are here as well. And there is one particularly special guest, and I haven't seen her, but I know there's been sightings of her, and that's my predecessor in this role as Executive Director, Lisa Clarke, who retired earlier this year. And somewhere I would like Lisa to stand up and there she is, raise her hand and turn around. And thank you, Lisa. Retired in the middle of winter, in the middle of COVID, and we really haven't had a proper gathering to wish her well and congratulate her and to thank her for all she did to build this incredible initiative. So thank you very much, Lisa. I see Colin is with you too, and I know he did half the work, so thank you. Before we begin our presentations, I really want to thank sponsors for this evening: Cam McGarren, Cohen and Partners, Dorsey Whitney, Frederickson Byron, HGA, Home Federal, ISG, Kimley Horn, Krauss Anderson, Mayo Clinic, Mortensen, Premier Bank, RSP, Titan Development, and the University of Minnesota Rochester, and many others. So please join me in thanking all of them in support of this. And I think a particularly special part of this evening has been the information booths and exhibits that were established. And there were some 13 businesses and organizations that took part, hosting 6 learning stations along the Zumbro River, the transit station, the imagery of cities from around the country and internationally. Didn't they do an incredible job of sort of introducing us to the opportunity of the river? I just want to acknowledge them and thank them. And one last thing I will say, I do want to thank all of the staff of DMC, but particularly Allison Bowman, who has led the team effort on this. And what I want to say is that these events are typically planned months in advance. The dates are set, as we did, and we began the planning in the height of vaccination and before Delta became a thing. And Allison and her team continued to evolve this event so that we could find a way of gathering safely and consistent with protocols and guidance. And I think they really hit the sweet spot in terms of what would work and what would make sense. Would you agree? So every year we are intentional about choosing where to have our annual meeting. And you may recall some of you participated when we were in heart of the city as we were beginning to finalize the design and gather feedback before moving ahead with construction. And 2 years ago, we chose Discovery Walk, introducing the potential of that new public space in association with Discovery Square, and now the riverfront. And this riverfront, and many of you know, I spent 20 years working on the river in St. Paul. And the rivers really represent, and by the way, every city has done what Rochester has done, which is following a flood, turning much of the riverfront into parking lots and parking ramps and turning your back on the river. And I think this community has been saying for a long time, let's turn our face to the river. Let's reacquaint ourselves with the river. After all, the river connects all of our neighborhoods to the downtown, and we can do something special here. And with the city council, and by the way, the city owns this land. They own this land and the parking ramp. And it's the city's opportunity, the city's ownership to really direct what wants to happen. And the city council wisely said, well, let's engage the community to figure out what is the community vision for the riverfront before we invite a development or do any other planning. Someone asked me, what's the plan for this site? And I said, the big news is that there's no big news, that we are beginning the conversation right now about what the future of this site can be. In fact, next week, the City Council is taking up consideration of a planning team that will lead a community-based planning effort to develop that vision. And our goal is to build this together that aligns with community needs, focus not only what we need today, but in the future as well. And by doing this, we will build inclusive space that is welcoming to all, for the community and for our friends and neighbors. And I hope you have been as inspired around the conversations as I have been tonight. These events are really an opportunity to reflect on the accomplishments of the past year and to think about and imagine the future. And like every city in America, Rochester was disrupted by the pandemic. But I would say we are proving to be far more resilient and robust than most communities. When we began DMC, we went with the idea, we understood the idea that we needed to reinvest in our community to make it America's City for Health, to really live up to that brand as America's Med City. And no other city can claim that space like Rochester can. And when we said we ought to build more hotels to make a more welcoming environment, we did it not because a friend of mine, some of you have heard me tell this story, Parks director in St. Paul would often say, well, I think he said it one time, that we don't build tennis courts for the tennis balls. And in that same way, we don't build the hotels for the beds and the pillows. We build hotels for people who are traveling here for some of the most difficult moments in their life, perhaps staying for an extended period of time, caring for a loved one. We don't build apartments for the refrigerators and the granite countertops. We build apartments for the lifelong residents of Rochester, empty nesters perhaps, who want to leave their house and live in the downtown environment. Or a new visitor to Rochester, a new resident of Rochester who wants to temporarily live downtown until they find their permanent resident. Or for students who are here for 4 years and maybe 40 years if they come to experience all that Rochester has to offer. Today when I walked through the Town Place Marriott or cut the ribbon at Hyatt Place, it really was the story of the people. When we look at brick apartments, the groundbreaking for brick apartments, it was really about how do we build housing where people who want to live close to their jobs and in an affordable place and walk to work and get by without a car, where can we build housing that meets their needs? When we build Life Science and Discovery Square, we aren't building those buildings for the benches and lab benches and the test tubes. We're building them for the scientists and the innovators, for the students, the startup businesses that will demonstrate prosperity in the future. When we build public spaces, and we've watched Heart of the City get built. I mean, believe me, we've been watching Heart of the City get built. As we've watched Heart of the City get built, we're not building it for the benches or the trees. We're building it because it becomes the community gathering place. It's a place where people can come and find outdoor dining, or a place where a patient from the Gonda building can get out and find quiet and solitude, or a place where neighbors can meet each other at a central place in the downtown. And as we build the transportation system, and you know that we were successful in securing federal support, or at least acknowledgement in the president's budget, we are not building the transportation system for the buses or the transit stops. We're building it for the nurse who wants to live outside of town but doesn't want to fight the commute to get into the downtown, or the neighbor in Slatterly Park who wants to be able to walk to the bus station and get to their place of employment. So it's really a reminder that we're not building things, we're building community. We're building experiences. And there is no, I think, better place to think about how to build experiences than right here in Rochester, where we can gather as a community. And I look around this gathering and I see all of the partners, from the city, the school district, from Olmsted County, from the state of Minnesota, from the federal government, from Mayo Clinic, from neighborhood leaders, from the Chamber of Commerce and READY and RDA and Diversity Council and the Rochester Area Foundation, and so many other individuals and businesses who are all rowing in the same direction, if I can use a river metaphor, rowing in the same direction to build a stronger, more vital community that lives up to the authentic brand of America's City for Health, America's Med City. It is now my pleasure to introduce tonight's next speaker, and you'll be hearing from Dr. Otley in a moment, and Council President Brooke Carlson and Chair of the DMCC Board, R.T. Rybak. Dr. Otley is a dermatologic surgeon, Chief Medical Officer of Mayo Clinic Platform, a medical director of business development, professor at Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science. I mean, he's a pretty big deal. And he's also chair, and he finds a way of being chair of the DMC EDA board, and we're so fortunate to have him. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Clarke Otley.
Thank you, Patrick, for the kind introduction. I'm a regular guy doing a regular job every day. So in my role as the DMC EDA president, I've had the great honor of inheriting a wealth of experience and information under the tutelage of my friend and mentor, Jeff Bolton. Jeff Bolton is the CAO. Jeff Bolton is the CAO of Mayo Clinic, and he is an exceptional individual. I'd say he exemplifies Mayo values and Mayo's best attributes every day of the week. So it's been a very amazing learning experience for me to study under you, Jeff. You've taught me a lot, and I hope to fill your shoes at least partially. Jeff's fingerprints are all over the DMC best of class results. During Jeff's tenure, $1 billion in private investment has been secured in the city, thousands of high-paying, high-quality new jobs in the area. The Discovery Square area has been transformed into a hub of busting biotech activity, and we've significantly improved and are continuing to improve our Peace Plaza and heart of the city. Jeff has also set the stage, as for those of you who got over to the transportation area, for the future of transportation in Rochester, and to prevent our city from being clogged with cars and parking lots to the detriment of our quality of life. So we're really indebted to Jeff for all the accomplishments and the quality way and classy way you carried out your role. So let's give Jeff another round of applause. For those of you who don't know, Jeff is also retiring next month or 2 months from now from Mayo Clinic, and it's been, I'm pretty upset with him too. It's been an amazing run that he's had, and so we're all going to be wishing him a lot of good luck for the next phase of his life. As you've heard Patrick say, and you're going to hear a number of speakers emphasize this, we're 6 years into strengthening Mayo's City of Health, or America's City of Health, the Destination Medical Center. And we're delivering on the promises that were required by Destination Medical Center: jobs, tax revenues, private investment, and transformative private development. So how is DMC pulling this off? One of the largest economic development projects in America, and the largest ever in the state of Minnesota. I'd say that the success is due to a lot of different factors. First of all, we have a compelling value proposition and vision built around some world-class assets: the City of Rochester and Mayo Clinic. And then we have an amazing team and an amazing community to pull it off. And it's been a lot of work, a lot of fun pulling this off over the last 6 years. From the start, though, DMC's had a really great advantage that most communities can only dream of: the presence of an amazing destination medical center, vibrant, full of life, full of amazing people, generating amazing jobs and amazing discoveries for patients every day. It's built on ageless values and supported, we recognize very much, by the hard work of everybody in this community, a community which is both Midwest in spirit and very international at the same time. It's easy to take Mayo Clinic for granted if you've been around for a long time, but I can say, as somebody who trained and has practiced and has visited many medical centers across the world, Mayo Clinic is really special. It's a precious resource, not only for our community, but for our country and for the world. And we see it every day when we practice medicine in those walls. The Rochester community, the state of Minnesota, and all of you are integral to that success, and we are very appreciative of that. When we look back at the beginning of DMC, we recognize there were a lot of smart people thinking of this, and they did what a lot of communities envy, which is think proactively, what do we want our future to be like? And how can we plan for the future in very thoughtful, proactive ways so that we can have the community that we want? And for that, I want to thank our mayor, Mayor Norton, the city council and the staff, the county board and the staff, Ready, DMC, the state of Minnesota, and all of you. We're very indebted to all of you. From the outset, DMC and the city, the county leaders and the state leaders looked holistically at what it would take to realize the city's potential as America's city of health. What kind of infrastructure do we need? What kind of amenities and spaces? What kind of activities? What kind of people do we attract to uniquely attract those people, visitors, world-class medical center colleagues, new medical and biomedical businesses, and the current and future residents? This world is a changed world. People can live anywhere they want and work anywhere they want. And so we need to make a compelling argument and have a compelling city so that people choose the city of health as a place to raise their families, live, and work. So to answer those questions, DMC has sought a lot of input. We're seeking input today. We've sought input from experts across the world. We seek input from our community and our stakeholders. And really what we did today was preview a possible opportunity that's amazing on our riverfront, a river that those of us who've lived here a long time heard stories about, and then we walled the river off, and it's got so much potential. It's time to really bring it back, bring it up to the level of the city while safely protecting our city and really helping it be an asset for our community. DMC's holistic approach is also apparent in the fact that it's not just about the DMC. DMC's been collaborating with a lot of the amazing organizations around Rochester to navigate the pandemic and contributing in many ways to the success of our society. DMC is a member of the Rochester Ready team, which is a coalition of civic and community organizations working to help area businesses maintain their businesses and thrive during the pandemic through targeted grants, free consulting services, instructional webinars, idea exchanges, novel marketing, and promotional campaigns. Like all of you, I kind of was hoping that by this time we'd be kind of at the tail end of the pandemic. We're not that lucky, but I'm confident that with the innovative, collaborative, and inclusive thinking in our city and across our community, that we'll continue to thrive. Rest assured, Mayo's commitment to DMC and to Rochester is very strong. Two recent announcements highlight that. The first being the construction, which has started, of an 11-story building, the Anna Maria and Stephen Kellen building, right over in Discovery Square. That building is being built in a very flexible way to allow changes in the workflow and changes in the research focus rapidly so that we can adapt to the changes as we have with the COVID pandemic. The other building that you'll see going up is in addition to the proton beam therapy facility over across campus. That is going to be a 110 square foot, $200 million expansion opening in 2025. And that facility provides life-saving treatment to patients with cancer of all types, including pediatric cancer and brain cancer. It's a godsend to people who need it. As a Mayo doctor and as a Rochester resident, I'm really proud of our community and the combined team of DMC, the city, the county, the state, and all of you as we forge the future and really look forward to continuing the trajectory that we've set in the past 6 years. Speaking of setting the agenda for the next 6 years, I'm very pleased to introduce City Council President Brooke Carlson. She is a DMCC board member, a Rochester native, and we're very delighted to have her speak with us tonight.
Hi, everyone. Wonderful to be here with you this evening. And thank you, Dr. Otley, for those wonderful comments. Let me begin by thanking all of you on behalf of the City of Rochester, the City Council, and Mayor Norton. How fabulous is it to look around and see so many committed friends, families, colleagues who are working so hard to make this an equitable, vibrant, and healthy city. And it's really important that we have events like this, that we get together and celebrate and acknowledge the progress that we are indeed making and also anticipate what's to come. The task of city building is hard work, rich with ideas, strengthened by passion, and occasionally punctuated by controversy and spirited disagreements, which we at Council never have. But the good news is that we start from a place of shared values, whether it be the city's priorities of affordable living, quality services for quality living, economic vibrancy and growth management, or DMC's vision of creating America's City for Health. In my heart of hearts, I know that the extraordinary work we're doing here in Rochester can be a model for the rest of Minnesota and across the U.S. I had so much fun stopping at all the learning stations along the way and hearing from all of you. I hope you did as well. My thanks to the community groups, civic organizations, and businesses for participating here tonight. You've given us an energizing and inspiring preview of Rochester's future for its trails, mobility, and reimagined riverfront, while helping us understand the benefits these transformations will have for our community. Your participation in this year's DMC annual meeting is also indicative of something I've come to admire greatly about our city, the way that our community rallies around challenges and opportunities for today and those within our grasp for tomorrow. In the challenges column, we've certainly had our fair share. To zero in on just two, consider how our community has risen to the difficulties posed by the pandemic while also navigating street closures and other inconveniences required by the necessary infrastructure improvements that are instrumental to achieving our vision as a city and destination medical center. While we're not fully out of the woods yet of the pandemic disruptions, it's been gratifying to see the whole community come together to protect our people and our visitors while also supporting our businesses as our local pride, the Mayo Clinic, helps to contribute to advancing the science that will help combat COVID. Meanwhile, it's also gratifying to know that DMC, city staff, and business and property owners have worked together to find ways of minimizing construction impacts. We've seen this through the business-forward approach in the heart of the city and now with North Broadway. Importantly, we are committed to improving our process every chance we have. Because there's more construction ahead as our city grows, we need to stay on top of this. Sometimes initiatives like DMC are measured by buildings built. I think equally important is to consider the building of community capacity. I know this is a priority of my fellow DMCC board members. And I'd like to talk about two examples, and I feel so lucky that I get to be the one to talk about these. First of all, one example is growing the number of women and minority-owned business enterprises that participate in DMC projects in our community co-design process as a second example. Not only have we set goals for our women and minority business enterprise participation, but we've begun building systems to help targeted businesses to become certified, become aware of bidding opportunities, and network with other more established contractors. The community co-design methodology, first tested on the Discovery Walk project, and now I would say is considered a gold standard in how we do our work with the city and DMC, brings together cohorts of community members and community experts who bring their lived experience to the design table alongside professional designers, engineers, and architects. Not only do we then get better design in the process, we're creating a pool of people who can play an even greater role in Rochester decision-making. I will end by saying that unlike many cities, Rochester and DMC have a shared vision, a passionate and engaged citizenry, and the resources to make transformative change. Undoubtedly, we will have bumps along the way, but knowing that we are working together in good faith will help smooth our journey ahead. And it is now my pleasure to introduce someone who has been with us on this journey since the beginning of DMC. Please join me in welcoming DMCC Board Chair R.T. Rybak.
Hey, everybody. Hey, by the way, can I say how wonderful it is to look out in a crowd of people who are all wearing masks? Thank you very much, because we need to continue to make sure this city is safe and healthy. You know, we stand here today and recognize that the largest development in the state of Minnesota, one of the, and probably the largest outside of a metropolitan area in the United States of America, has amazingly but realistically gotten through the pandemic and is doing extraordinarily well. That is a phenomenal thing, but I don't think that we should say that without recognizing that this has not been a cakewalk. Everybody in this room, whatever this is, everybody in this area out here tonight really has to recognize the fact that there have been some hard moments in this and a lot of struggle. For me personally, one of the most down moments of the whole pandemic, my wife and I were at home, it was a dreary day, everything was going wrong in my hometown of Minneapolis, and our kids were wrestling with all sorts of issues like all of our families have. We got in the car and said, let's just go down to Rochester and see how it's going. And we came down and the rain came and it was an incredibly dreary kind of day. And I got out of the car and we happened to get there right as the trees were coming to Peace Plaza. And these huge trees, these trees that'll be around for a generation, were being put in the ground around this incredible design that Shane Cohen did down there. And I just looked at it and said, thank God something is working. Well, it's a lot more than trees, folks, okay? Not only $1 billion of investment, that's a number. But look at what is happening. Look at how Peace Plaza is becoming a place even more exciting than it already was before. And look at the connective tissue we're building as Discovery Walk and the vision that we can take that even further. Incredible things all around this city. But it is important to say we are not done yet. We are only really beginning this work. That shouldn't daunt anybody here, because what we've come through is big. What's coming tomorrow is even bigger and more exciting. Stop and think about what is going to happen. You see that bus down there. That bus is a prototype of what is going to be the link, and it's going to be a transit vision that goes up and down Second and connects out to what is now a parking lot that is going to be a transit village where people live and work and shop and can hop on a bus, or even better, an incredible vehicle you may not have even imagined, and come down Second and be able to get to town without even using your car. Think about when you really realize this, not only what I was saying with Discovery Walk, but how it goes all the way to Soldiers Field. And think about that connective tissue. What other city can you tell somebody you can go to the greatest hospital in the world, then you can walk to a golf course? I don't know of a whole lot of places, but that is the vision. And now let's turn to the river. My wife grew up in Rochester. She has all these great memories. Her whole family tells me how great it was to grow up in Rochester. No member of my wife's family has ever told me one single thing about this river. That's going to change. This is a memory village for the next generation, and we want to start that now. We should have started it yesterday. But if you look at what is the opportunity here, and you recognize the fact that here in the middle of this incredibly exciting downtown, with some of the most walkable, livable neighborhoods anywhere you can find, through the center of it is this incredible natural amenity that we've allowed to be encased in concrete and separated from us. We're sitting on a parking lot right now on that river. I see somebody from Forager Brewery down there. I want to be sitting on a patio with one of your beers overlooking this river and seeing all sorts of housing down here, all sorts of different activity here on what was once a parking lot. That is not a dream. What we need to recognize is we have never seen in the state of Minnesota an ability to take an incredible institution that is known worldwide, a livable city like this that is unquestionably one of the best places to live in the world, and connect it up to nature, and not just this river. Folks, within a small walk of here, you can see an eagle's nest. The bluffs of the river are just a short drive away. We can tell people that you cannot find what you find here today anywhere else. We can say that today, but imagine what we can say tomorrow. So I do this in my free time. Most of you do too. And I'm willing to put a lot more of my time and energy into this too. But I think we want to ask you today, are you ready to recommit to this vision? Are you willing to say we've come a long way, but are you willing to say we ain't seen nothing yet? I'm willing to do that. I hope you are too. So let's get some more work done, and I think this is an amazing thing we're on right now.